to catch the wave of energy, of interconnectedness between two people. With well-written scenes, that stuff usually sort of cooks with actors who've put the work in beforehand.
The world had an order.
What's your name?
It's Mike.
No. I think your name is Jimmy.
When 28 Years Later came out, I want to take you back there. There was so much hype. The movie exceeds the anticipation, in my opinion. But then there was such a massive reaction to the end scene where we get to meet the Jimmies. Did you think the fans were going to lose their minds like that? What was your take on the fans just going crazy over that?
I don't really know, Mark. Maybe because I don't have social media, or the only awareness I had of it was sort of vocally.
Old school.
Yeah. I watched the sequel just in a cinema. I was working in Australia, so I kind of went. I took a hat. I was in disguise. I kind of looked like I was in disguise, though, if you know what I mean. So
it was retro obvious that you were in disguise because you looked like you were trying to be in disguise.
Yeah. It was counterproductive. I tried too hard to look like somebody who's just going to the cinema. Big popcorn and oversized drink.
You're describing me at every movie. Continue. Well, actually, I'll take you back to this, too, because I was thinking about you, where we have these genre films that are getting all this recognition, which I feel like is long overdue. And you not only were in 28 Years Later, now The Bone Temple, but also Sinners. So how does it feel to be a part of these incredible productions and to see these kind of movies get the attention that they deserve?
It feels sensational, man. It's great. It's wonderful and very rewarding. Very proud of Sinners, as I am very proud of 28 Years Later. Yeah, and it's great to see. It's great to see that people are going to the cinema in huge numbers.
There's a lot of large drinks and a lot of large popcorns being consumed. And
everyone wins
with this movie as well. So any given day, you roll up to set and you're filming 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. I love the look of your character. Is there a costume choice or hair and makeup that kind of locks you in to becoming that Jimmy?
Sure. Yeah. A lot of it was on the page. We knew that he would have long, luscious blonde locks. We knew he'd have a tiara, jewelry, and this upside down cross. We knew that. And then I remember we were being shared imagery of what the costume designers wanted to do with the Jimmies, and I kind of wanted to separate him a little bit visually with what he was wearing, just to kind of suggest status, no necessity really for him to get his hands dirty. He has people to do that for him. Was quite informative of where I wanted to take him. So I thought velour, I thought purple, because it was an imperial colour. Gareth and Carson, our designers, said no problem, a purple velour tracksuit you shall have, and they went and made it from scratch, which is, a testament to them and their abilities.
So nobody's ever going to get to dress exactly like that Jimmy ever again, because it's handmade by scratch.
I have the tracksuit, so there's only one.
The first encounter with Rafe, just going through that scene, what's it like to work with somebody like that and have that sort of intimate moment?
Yeah, you just the amount that you learn is hard to describe, really, because there's so much to be taken. To get to connect with an actor of Rafe's ability is massively thrilling. Yeah, you're just all eyes and ears. You just try and garner whatever you can, and lovely person.
So you've been in the business, you made a lot of great movies, and you've been around for a little bit. What's it like for you, having been on a bunch of sets before, to see the Bone Temple in person for the first time? Was that a pretty cool revelatory experience for you?
Oh, it definitely was. Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, I struggle to watch myself or things that I'm in spaces, in theatres. This one wasn't so bad for some reason. I don't know why that is. I wouldn't be able to explain it, but phenomenal to be a part of, phenomenal to be asked to be a part of it, and just massively proud.
I love the way the film opens. This is my final question to you, because it really gives you a sense of this band of Jimmies and sort of how ruthless and brutal this life can be and can make a group of people. Can you explain the hierarchy of Jimmies to me? Is there a chance? Is there a hope for upward mobility in this sort of enclave, or is it just sort of this hopeless existence?
Who knows, man? It's the law of the jungle, isn't it? By then, and I can understand and take some conviction in that being possible. The way we meet them at the end of the previous movie is an ambiguity as to whether they are a force for good or bad. If anything, they look kind of cool, and you know, they're killing off the infected and rescuing Spike. So, you know, they look like they could be quite a pleasant ensemble of people. And then pretty immediately in that first scene of the next film, you realise that was a misguided take, and yeah, forget whatever you thought.
Seriously, yeah. And as great as that introduction was, I think that this movie, The Bone Temple, lives up to that promise of seeing y'all come at the end of 28 years later. Are you going back to the cinema? Do we do a disguise again, or did that kind of throw you off? Do you think maybe we just actually wear the purple velour to the theater with the large popcorn and the large drink? That could be a choice.
Just go out and out. Yeah, sure. Just sneak in at the end. in the full. Get it.
And then just be sitting there as people are walking out of the theater and just wave to them.
How's that?
It's such a thrill to talk to y'all paired together, because this is one of my favorite on-screen pairings of the year. I just wanted to set y'all up to talk about your relationship in terms of crafting the scenes that y'all have together, because one of you can communicate with words and the other, it's a little more primal. Can you talk about what that's like, making those scenes together?
Would have been very different for both of us, wouldn't it?
You know, the scenes are very well written, and with the case, usually the case with well-written scenes is they have a flow. So as long as we've done our homework and have thought about what we're saying or what we're thinking and feeling, and come to the set with something to offer, then the scenes kind of play themselves. So neither of us were analyzing or discussing. I'm not a great fan of over-analyzing. I don't think acting is an intellectual endeavor. I think it's a spontaneity, playing, feeling. It's an energetic, it's an interacting of energies. And I think it's the director's role to break down the scene for cinema with shots, and then to gauge the temperature that he or she, and Nia, obviously, she wanted. We didn't rehearse the scenes, I don't think. We rehearsed them briefly on the set, but
more for blocking.
I think what's great is when two actors start playing, or a group of actors start playing, and things just start to happen between them that no one's thought about. And the more you play, the more stuff grows. So you're like catching. There's I'm not a surfer, but I do know the expression to catch the wave. And I mean, to catch the wave of energy, of interconnectedness between two people. With well-written scenes, that stuff usually sort of cooks with actors who've put the work in beforehand. I think.
Chai, for you, I'm wondering, because you play an infected and like the alpha version of that, for your energy, how did you feel that coming across in this film versus 28 years later last year?
Yeah, the energy levels are quite different, aren't they? For me, it was about finding a way to contain the energy, not necessarily lose it, because I'm a big live on energy person, and I feel like what you put out is what you get back. I'm big into that. I couldn't lose who Samson was in the first film just because I don't perform the same acts of violence in the second film. So I had to find a way to kind of harbor that and use it when necessary, and that might have been through the way that I stare or the way that I turn. I had to find a way to keep it alive, you know?
It's funny you bring up energy, because when you talk about directors, there's always something that any director is going to lend to the set. And for a fan of the franchise to watch how seamless this film felt flowing from the last movie, it was incredible to witness. For you two, was there a different energy with Nia there? Can you talk about the special sauce that Nia brings as a director to a franchise like this?
Yes, it was really interesting, because we had worked with Danny Boyle's incredible energy on set, and a wonderful sense of momentum. And with Anthony Dodmantle, Danny's cinematographer, there's, the cameras are all hidden and secreted in different places. So a fantastically exciting way to film, because you realize, there are all kinds of angles on you, which you don't know where they all are. Some you do. But with Nia, probably a more steadier rhythm. If I say slower, it gives the wrong impression, but the more quite just allowing the actors to find their grounding with each other. it was lovely because it was like we were not being pushed. Sometimes a set that has a great momentum, which is a great thing for a film set, but sometimes the momentum means it's quite breathless. Sometimes that's good for actors. They don't have time to think. They have to get in, do, da, da. Nia had a much more steadier rhythm, and Sean Bobbitt, DOP, really working principally with one camera. And so a kind of simplicity of shooting, kind of very classical and very beautiful for actors, to the cameras resting on faces and allowing. Nia let our performances play out on one principal camera, different lens sizes. But I loved it. It was lovely to have gone from the thrilling adrenaline of Danny's set to something kind of slightly a different beat, a slightly more gentler tempo, but suited to the film. The film has quite a few set-piece dialogue scenes, Jack and myself, longer scenes with Chai. I loved it. I love this kind of slow groove, but very specific. Nia's notes, her acting notes were just so subtle and precise. And like she's really watching the detail of a close-up in a way that's great for an actor.
And she'll let you know if something isn't hitting, which is a great support. And I love that, to be able to, I feel like somebody's got my back just in case I don't have it. Mm-hmm. You know, Nia was always there.
We may have diseases and barbarism.
Nia, I wanted to ask you about 28 years later and like that awesome experience that we all felt walking out of the movie, because we just got introduced to the Jimmies in that final scene. What was it like for you seeing that the first time?
I think it's about, I had the mix of what everyone else felt when they watched it for the first time, like, holy shit. But also I was so focused on like how I was going to bring them to life in my film that I was really just, you know, Danny and I, the way we cast it, we, like, because they're mostly my film, so I really took the reins on that. But like we had a lot of conversation, and I remember him being like, yeah, I want to make sure we get some people with really good some physicality. I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. And he's like, yeah, who can do backflips and like really amazing things with their bodies. And I was like, why does he want that? But okay, whatever. And then I saw why, and I was like, oh wow, amazing. But unfortunately, there's no backflips in my movie. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Erin, can you tell the audience about filming that scene and knowing that it's like going to set up this whole other adventure that we're about to go on?
I mean, it was a lot of fun. There was no sort of like acting. It was just flipping, which was which was really fun for me. They set me up on a little trampoline, and I got to flip over the camera, which was nice. It's fun. Like that's a day at work, which is not a real thing. So no, it was a lot of fun.
So flipping, acting, two very different things is what I'm learning here. And then we get to this movie, and what are the rules of being a Jimmy? Like when you think of being a Jimmy, what are like a couple of the tenets that really stick out to you?
Well, one would be do whatever Jimmy Crystal says.
Oh, like what are the rules?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Keep your mouth shut. And yeah, I'd say listen to Jimmy.
Nia, for you, one of the things that I really loved in the movie is the relationship between Kelson and Samson, and it sort of felt like it had shades of George Romero's Day of the Dead between Bub and Frankenstein.
Yeah.
But how do you go about crafting that relationship between a human being who speaks and one who's just sort of like grunting and gesturing?
Yeah, you have to kind of figure out how to communicate emotionally, because that's really what's happening. And because it's so rudimentary and so simple, like what Kelson is even trying to do initially when Samson's in a sedated state, it actually ends up being really primal in a really cool way for both of them. And we get down to like what's like our base emotions, which we filter through logic and language and reason and societal norms, whatever. But you get to strip all that away and just be two humans who are trying to feel each other, So I think about it that way, so that then it doesn't become too complicated.
I mean, when you talk about relationships in this movie, Erin, and crafting them, you at least get to speak the same language as Spike, but he's coming into this crazy new existence that you're a part of. So when you're playing that character, how do you balance your loyalty to the Jimmies, but also like there is an emotional connection between you and Spike?
I think that the loyalty is probably broken in her head, or at least she puts Spike's safety above that. And I think you meet her and she doesn't quite know how to navigate that just yet. But she knows that she has to figure it out at some point, because there's no way that she's going to let what's happened to her happen to this kid.
Yeah, Nia, when we talk about like making horror movies, obviously you've worked in this realm before and with effects and stuff like that. Without spoiling too much, do you have a favorite moment in this movie that you like a kill or like something like kind of gross that we get to see on camera?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite moments in the film are two of the biggest spoilers. So, but I will say they both involve Kelson, and I really think he's like the beating heart of the film, along with Samson. So, the ending of the film, the last sort of 20 minutes, some of my favorite time on set, my favorite parts of the film to edit, to watch. I love, yeah.